Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. August 22, 2019, the More Whistleblowers Fired edition. First up, in one of the stories of the whistleblowers being fired, it comes from the Magic Kingdom. As reported by Francine McKenna over at MarketWatch, a former Walt Disney accountant says she has filed a series of whistleblower tips with the SEC alleging the company materially misstated or overstated revenue for years. She had previously filed also a claim for retaliation, but that claim has been withdrawn. What's interesting is that not only is the SEC taking her information, but they've asked her for not only additional information, but additional interviews. And Francine has had the chance to review the information, and she quoted Jordan Thomas, one of the top whistleblower attorneys in the United States and formerly in the whistleblower program or office, rather, at the Securities and Exchange Commission. And he said the SEC receives more than 25,000 tips, complaints, and referrals each year, and the vast majority do not make it this far. The fact that the SEC has asked for more information more than once and conducted interviews suggests an inquiry is underway. Disney vehemently disagrees with her claims, saying they're totally without merit, and they said she was fired for basically being a pain in the wazoo. Going to our other whistleblower case, it comes from Reuters. And the healthcare giant Phillips was warned of suspicious sales to medical equipment to the Brazilian government and failed to halt them nearly a decade ago. The person who filed the information actually filed it directly, whistleblew directly to the company, so he reported it internally, and he was fired for his efforts. Phillips now, for its sins, is under investigation for an FCPA violation. Next up, Elizabeth Warren. When she gets on your tail, it's not something that's going to be very pleasant for you. And one of the things she has been after is Wells Fargo. Well, she's got them in her sights again, based upon a recent report that Wells Fargo has charged fees to customers, sometimes in the amount of six figures, on closed accounts. She has asked the Wells Fargo interim chief executive to explain the bank's policies for charging overdraft fees on transactions and accounts that customers were told were closed. So in a letter, she said, ask how much money the bank has collected in the past 5 years for these fees on empty accounts. Obviously, she has been a harsh critic of Wells Fargo, and to have her after Wells Fargo again certainly does not bode well for the company, who just cannot seem to get it right. And of course, they still don't have a CEO, frankly, who would probably want that job about now. And then finally, from the FCPA world directly, Dylan Tolker over at the Wall Street Journal Risk and Compliance Journal reports that, as expected, a federal judge overseeing the Hoskins case denied Mr. Hoskins' motion to have the case thrown out for basically delays in his trial, which he alleged violated his Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights to a speedy trial. He did grant Mr. Hoskins about a 6-week delay in the trial going forward, but that's probably going to be a little solace to Hoskins. It's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out, as Hoskins has to be shown to be an agent of the U.S. parent company. So no joy for Hoskins on trying to get his case thrown out, but of course he still has to go to trial or gets to go to trial. Once again, the Department of Justice is going to be put to its proof in another FCPA case. The Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio.